Hello there and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. Well, we're speaking about an instance or instances of criminal activity which is only adding to the stresses of doing business here in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm speaking about extortion. In fact, I'll share some statistics with you that were relayed from the police service of Tobago in September of last year, actually. I'll give that to you in a bit. But the individual who has raised the alarm, one of the individuals actually who has raised the alarm, is the president of the Greater San Fernando Area Chamber of Commerce, a gentleman who is a familiar face to AM Prime and to WESN. Mr. Kiran Singh joins us virtually. Hello, sir, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keaton, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Certainly a pleasure to be on your station this morning.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. Well, the signal has been raised once more. This is not something that is new to the business community of Trinidad and Tobago, although there have been an increased number of reports of extortion here in TNT. In fact, AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce, indicated that 18% of business owners have been asked to pay bribes, which considering all, that figure is a bit low, isn't it? It might be due to the fear of having to report such crimes, but 57% said that they were spending more on security and insurance because of crime. So even with having to spend more on security, business owners are still facing a lot of stress.
That is true. If we look at the extortion reports, firstly, we do recognize that there have been reports of extortion by criminal elements. Fortunately, for us in South Trinidad, we haven't heard of reports from our membership of extortion by gang elements or criminals. We know it exists in Central and in East West and, of course, Port of Spain, having heard from reports from other leaders in the area, in those areas. And it's unfortunate that I think the police has to get on top of that to ensure that honest business owners and entrepreneurs are not caught in this web of entrapment by deceitful persons who wish to extract hard-earned dollars from honest, law-abiding citizens. Mm-hmm. Of course, the other element of the whole crime situation that affects business owners is the impact of the crime coming from other quarters that affects us. The home invasions continue to escalate. Just recently, in the northern part of the country, we heard of I mean, this guy did everything possible to protect himself and his family, and he was still, unfortunately, murdered by bandits who entered his home. And these unfortunate incidents continue to occur to business owners, and we feel that we have become easy prey for bandits in Trinidad, and we hope that the police has to do more. And that's why we've been advocating for including the Defense Force as part of the apparatus to assist the police if it is that they're strapped in terms of human resources and physical assets to really reduce crime in this country, Kita.
Well, Mr. Singh, not that I would want, hope, or wish for otherwise, but given our conversations of the past and what we are speaking about this morning, I'm curious, how is it that businesses are able to continue operating? How are they even in a position to deal with all of this?
It's a difficult situation. It's certainly challenging for business owners, especially those who, the startups, those who are up and coming. Contractors, of course, feel the brunt of the bribes. Unfortunately, we operate in a system where we hear more often than not that you must pass a bribe in local parlance, in local terms of how we describe the situation and the system to get a contract. And apparently those who are in that subsector of the economy suffer the brunt of the of crime and of the white collar crime as well when it comes to bribery and these charges of I'm sure the numbers are much higher than what was quoted in the report recently in the media. Some persons just choose not to report it because fear of victimization, fear of not getting future contracts. And we have the Integrity Commission, for instance, we have other agencies that will developed by the state to assist law-abiding citizens to arrest these criminal elements from further reducing the cash flow of the business, reducing the profitability of the business, because we continue to say that after the government, we remain a significant employer of workers in the country. And when our incomes are reduced through, again, criminal elements, it forces us to have to employ less workers because our profitability ratios drop. And of course, we can't employ as much people. And all this, of course, is against the background of the minimum wage has now been increased. We face the oncoming property tax, electricity rates increase are looming in 2024. And we need to be prepared for these factors that will affect the bottom line of all business enterprises across the board in our country.
Getting back specifically to extortion, a public information officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Michelle Lewis, she's quoted as saying, I'm quoting in verbatim now, when you look at all the divisions and when you look at a 5-year period in 2018, we had 25 reports. In 2019, we had 20 reports. In 2020, there were 17 reports. 2021, 6 reports. In 2022, there were 16 reports, but in 2023, for the year up until September 27th of last, we had 146 reports. That's an astronomical increase as compared to the previous years before. And what is most interesting, she said that in the Southern Division alone, there were 134 such reports. It seems as though South is a target area under which your chamber, funny enough, Mr. Singh, falls under.
Yes, we have to deal with these statistics. The fall in those figures, of course, could be attributed to the lockdown of the economy due to the COVID that we had, and to see the spiraling increase last year, of course, could be attributed to the fact that the economy was fully open after the lockdown. And of course, business was back to normal. We had more than usual business activity as everyone got back into the business cycle of operations. So that could be one factor. Another factor could be the government giving out more contracts, or the B2B business-to-business operations within the private sector that caused the increase. So it shouldn't be that because we have increased economic activity, we have increased crime. It shouldn't be like that, because that deters business. It will deter future business activity, future business investor confidence, future commercial activity within the geographical borders of the country. We want to have to inspire foreign investors as well to come in. When we heard the Honorable Prime Minister talk about the oil and gas sector has some future promise, of course, international investors would be looking to us from an investment point of view. And if crime continues to plague this beautiful country, it will have an unfortunate negative impact upon foreign entities who wish to invest in countries like ours, where we still have relatively low electricity rates and labor rates, Kita.
Mm-hmm. Now, in regards to what you are aware of, because I believe you said that in terms of your membership, there are no instances of reported extortion. But in terms of what you are actually aware of what's taking place, at least within the Southern Division or the business community as a whole, is this impacting more so small and micro businesses, or is it affecting all businesses regardless of the size?
The extortion claims and those of bribery and so on, it happens to business regardless of the size. Of course, the bigger business attracts unfortunately, greater crime on a percentage basis, of course. But where the crime happens, especially from the white collar crime and fraud in particular, is with the subsector of businesses that fall into the contracting atmosphere, those who employ large numbers of workers on a temporary basis, that go into communities that feel somewhat disenfranchised from employment and feel that uh, they should also benefit from a contractor who goes in to do work in a particular area, and they don't see any downstream impacts positively, so from an employment point of view especially. And they feel the need to take action, apparently, from what the survey reports say, and even what is reported in the mainstream media. And business people would have to be more mindful of that. We would think, to assist those who um, come from the lower um, strata of the society and need that physical help, need that monetary support when they're unemployed, and they basically what we call lining on the block, and they get into unfortunate illegal activities. And that is right. And that brings us to the whole point of the investment into the defense force of this lump sum of money to go into communities, that the so-called hotspots, to assist these youths. And instead of they don't have they're not going to arrest, but to assist the youths to get them into productive activities, to get them out of that um, drug enabled position that they're put in by the gang leaders and those who um, force them into illegal activities, prey on them to leave the schools. We have such a large number of dropouts that when we look at the statistics of the thousands of children that write SEA, where do these children go when we get to the CSEC level? There's a large disparity where these children disappear into. And we don't even, and further to CSEC, of course, after to Cape, after CSEC, of course, some persons go to employment, they go to other educational institutions. But this large dropout of students that enter the secondary school system has to be addressed in a more aggressive way to find out what is happening with these youths. Why are the gangs able to infiltrate the school systems, prey upon the innocent minds of the youths, and get them into this illegal activity of peddling petty drugs? And of course, they graduate into more serious drugs as they get older and get more experience in society. And of course, they're able to pick up the gun. And if the defense force is in the communities that are easy prey and targeted by the gangs and criminal elements, we can really slow down that process and put a stop to youths falling prey and being so easily targeted by the gang elements and the so-called bling and the drive to wear the fancy sneakers and wear have the latest brands. Of course, with Carnival coming up, of course, they're looking for the easy money for, of course, to go to fetes and costumes for mass and party clothes for parties. And this has to be addressed in a more serious way.
What is interesting is that I know that you've advocated tremendously before for the defense force to play a more active role, and there has been a signal by the Prime Minister for that to come to pass, with 100 million being pumped into the defense force for such activities as you've elaborated on. However, do you really suppose that that $100 million could make a positive change? The question simply being is that, is it necessary that $100 million? Don't you suppose that the defense force can operate within these communities without any further allocations, beyond which that 100 million could be added to the TTPS to beef up their resources for more effective, better policing, or even for example, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which is severely understaffed which is also having a severe conflict with our criminal justice system. So is it really the best thing, in your opinion, for this 100 million to be pumped into the Defence Force?
Well, I'm sure that when the Minister of Finance has to disburse this 100 million, because we haven't heard of a time frame or how it will be utilized by the Defence Force, that the public is enlightened as to how the money is to be utilized, because we haven't heard that breakdown on the disbursement of this grant of funds to the Defence Force. And certainly, I'm surprised that the police service hasn't advocated for funding for their employees, if I could use that word, to beef up their physical assets as well, because we still have complaints of police stations being without sufficient vehicles to attend to robberies and break-ins at different districts in the country. And those, of course, in the more rural areas, there's that issue, as opposed to the cities, the urban areas where we have sufficient vehicles. As an example, and of course the DPP, we know that there was a big issue last year in terms of the spatial allocation for the DPP's office, and of course we continue to hear complaints of the DPP being understaffed and not in a position to deal adequately with the number of cases that comes before it. The latest, of course, being the diverse tragedy, and we are yet to hear how long that process will take in the DPP's office to come up with a decision as to how they move forward with that case in particular, which is coming up on 2 years since the tragic incident occurred. And of course, the families, the victims, remain waiting patiently. They seem to be more vocal in terms of how they are treated with. And we really hope that the state bureaucracy, unfortunately, takes so long in rolling out that decisions that are made by the government. We hope that they can fast track this from the Honorable Minister's office in a more equitable manner, a more efficient manner, so that the public feels more comfortable after the decisions are made. Peter.
I want to go back to the issue of extortion just for a moment. And I know that you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation for a more active approach on the part of the Trans-Tobago Police Service. There is currently no specific unit within the service to deal with the issue of extortion. And again, the numbers could be very much conflicting due to the great possibility of under-reporting. Do you think that there needs to be a specific unit within the TTPS to deal with this, to better deal with this criminal activity?
Peter, and I think that would be a fantastic idea if the police can dedicate some officers or give them the required training. If it is they have to get foreign training or bring in foreign aid to assist in this extortion racket that is plaguing some members of the business community. It will certainly assist us and go a long way in arresting crime from that aspect, of course, and encourage young businessmen to get into more employment-driven types of businesses. And of course, that will project a more positive image for the country, locally, regionally, and even internationally, that the police is serious about solving crime, not only physical, brutal murders, but the white-collar crime and those in-office crime that tends to be hidden from the cameras and under the table transactions, and all these levels of crime affects the ease of doing business with us as a country. We are way down the table in terms of how we are rated internationally. When persons look at our KPIs and how we do business, we unfortunately have a lot of work to be done, even from the public service point of view, in our efficiencies in improving how we do business. The length of time it takes to even register a company, register a name, all these things are done so fast. In the northern countries, in first world countries, it's a click of a button on a computer, and we still haven't gotten to that stage in digitizing so many processes in the system that will make our processes so much more faster and efficient to improve the throughput time and the effect of how fast we can conclude business. Even when we look at customs, we still have the unfortunate reality of how we pay. It's cash or certified check only, and they don't accept credit cards, and our links were over $5,000. All these are issues that in 2024 we hope to see some new light shed on these processes to fast track them, to improve on them, so that we could move forward faster, Peter.
Mr. Singh, my final question to you this morning is, given your experience, are you of the opinion that the business community, their calls, their cries, and their pleas are falling upon deaf ears? Do you think that all that you've been advocating for, as well as other chambers and what they've been advocating for the business community, is simply falling on deaf ears? There's been too little of a response, that is.
It could be attributed again to the state bureaucracy taking it moves so slowly in effecting decisions, but we continue to remain cautiously optimistic that if enough of us speak to same issues across the board, across the geographical boundaries of the country, that the right ears will be hearing and listening to what we are saying, and some action will be taken, a positive approach will be taken to the issues that we raise, because like it or not, it affects all of us. We all live here in one country. We all have to survive here together. And the only way we can do that successfully is to work together in a harmonious way so that we can all survive. We don't have the best economic situations right now with relatively flat oil and gas prices. We need to diversify the economy, and we need to continue these conversations, and hopefully the right persons will take action faster as we have now started 2024. We look to new solutions. We look to new faces coming on the horizon to assist the business community, assist general society in improving our lifestyles, improving our standard of living, and of course reducing crime, which is plaguing us and really has to be addressed. And we hope that the TTPS also takes up their gear with us and join forces with us to reduce crime and get more serious to breaking down the criminal element. When we look at, we like to use statistics and figures and numbers and percentages. The number of persons that actually commit crime in this country is a very small number of persons when we look at the amount of, we have 1.4 million people living in this country. And certainly, the criminals are in a minority. And we should be able to address that from a physical point of view. If we look at the bare numbers and bare statistics, it shouldn't be that the minority can hold the entire country to ransom using crime and the gun as the force factors into subduing us as a society, and we're not able to live freely because apparently the criminals in jail seem to have more rights to life and liberty and access to rights as opposed to common citizens.
It comes across as though criminals in Trinidad and Tobago have been afforded a great level of impunity.
Unfortunately, and this has to stop. We have to change this. What about the victims? We always hear about the rights of the criminal, even when we look at when there was the recent discussion in public about reintroducing the hanging as the death penalty as the final act for serious crime in this country. And then we all of a sudden human rights agencies and Amnesty jump on board and jump into the discussion. But where the advocates for the victims of these crimes, nobody's addressing those concerns. And the death penalty was never removed from the law books. So certainly we should look back at the death penalty as the final act for criminals, and let's see where that goes. Kita.
Certainly. Mr. Singh, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning and for sharing your thoughts with us as to what's taking place, and also for really speaking of what's happening within the business community. Once more, sir, appreciate the generosity in your time this morning and your commentary. All the best to you, sir, and to your membership.
Thank you for the opportunity for the interview this morning, and Trinidad and Tobago, be safe out there.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, not much to add to that. That was Mr. Kiran Singh, and all that has been said is very much familiar to us, but it does seem as though the stresses and the strains and the pleas of the business community, there seems to be very little reprieve, and at times you wonder if it's just being ignored. But there is bureaucracy to deal with, and perhaps that is a bigger part of the problem than we are actually aware of. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break here on AM Prime. When we return, we get into some other conversations. We'll be right back.
Like many others trying to save on Carnival, Gabby thought she should go for 50% off makeup.
What about the other side? Well, Daisy 50% off offer. So you know.
No makeup artist we don't know. What we do know is the savviest savings for Carnival are at KFC. Get a Jab Jab box, 1-piece chicken, 1 regular fries, and a biscuit for only $25.
You our wine, bring together addictive wine. Want you to come here to blow your mind.
Yo, it's Kill Chitel, and I will be performing live for Fete Royal on QRC Grounds Saturday 27th of January, and I'll be singing Shake Up Your Body Girl with that addictive wine. Cause you know what? We up in the party all night. Mwah. See you there. Don't miss this one.
Baby, drive me mad, and then you hip on that, then you jump on that, cock it up in the bass.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for making the time to be with us this morning. Well, next week, Thursday, the 1st of February 2024, the University of the West Indies presents its Math Fair, Expand Your Mathverse, Explore Your Potential, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's taking place at the JFK Auditorium and Lecture Theatre and English Lecture Theatre 1. And just reading those out aloud bring back so many memories. Really, but let's explore with the reverse, as we see. I'm joined this morning by coordinator of the secondary school teacher liaison committee, Dr. Dale Jogi. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Delighted. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And Mr. Rajesh Lakan, he's the co-chair of the Math Fair Fun Activities and Booth Subcommittee.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Math Fair Fun Activities. That's a first.
Yes, it is. It is.
So, tell me a bit more about this event in particular. This year, you're exploring the theme: expand your mathverse, explore your potential.
Okay, great. So, let me just give a bit of a background. So, this is the 6th installment of our Math Fair, and it is only growing bigger and bigger. The main goal of the Math Fair, on a basic level, is to make math more fun and interesting to students, because we realize that a lot of students have this math phobia concerning math, and it could be for many different reasons. So that's the main push. Prior to the event, we had games online as well. So they were broken up into 3 main categories. We had the math creativity section, then we within that math creativity, we catered for individuals of all aspects. One, we had oral expression, so in which individuals could have written a song, a calypso, a poem, a chutney, whatever it is. Then the second category within the oral expression was art, craft, design. So if you're differently skilled, you like to make things with your hands, you do something related to math. And the final one was memes, cartoon, and comic strips. So you create a math, Pi walks down the road, something happens. And then, so that's one category. But then we had modeling. So modeling is you either create a physical model or a poster based on a question. And the last one, which is intended for the students, the Math Olympics, which has two categories, the Math Feud, and the Math Quiz. So winners for the Math Quiz got funneled into the Math Feud, which happens on the day itself. So for the Math Quiz, which is really, really interesting, we have 3 categories: lower school, middle, and upper school. So forms 1 to 3, 4, 5, and then form 6. This was an online quiz that took place. All our competitions are closed off, by the way. We do apologize. So it took place weeks before we opened last year. Top 2 winners from each category get selected, and they team off against each other. So the winner for the basic, junior goes pairs with intermediate, senior, team 1, team 2. And on the day itself, right after the opening ceremony, they go head to head. I'm actually the host for the Math Feud. So I'm looking forward to it. It's always really fun and interesting. And this year, we introduced the Teacher Game Challenge, in which we asked teachers to design a game, a learning-based game. And this is where I want to introduce Dr. Jogi to just say a bit more.
Please do. Yes, please do.
Right, so there's basically Bloom's taxonomy. So there's 3 domains of learning: thinking, cognitive. There's 6 levels within that: knowledge base up to creativity. So creativity is more like Math Olympiad, affective for your feel, and then psychomotor. So it's a holy trinity. To spark maximal learning, you really want to engage in all facets. It's impossible in a school environment, yeah? So that's why we're trying to engage these students in this math fair. They'll feel so well that they come in on a field trip. Yes. Effective. Yeah. We have games, psychomotor, and then we have posters, talks, etc., cognitive. So hopefully with the trinity, they'll engage their interest and sustain, we want sustainability of interest in math. We're going to start it from now. The games will, of course, engage with the psychomotor.
So this is what I was about to say, that given all that has been explained thus far, and you've taken it down to really a deep science, because, the first instance, people are thinking, it's just a math fair, it's just schools coming together and competing against each other. But you guys are exploring the psychology and the effect it has on students as well.
Excellent observation, yeah.
So yes, very true. So just to give a concrete example, one of the math games that we have is called Lights On. Very simple. You have 7 circles, and we have circular discs that are colored black and yellow. So one is on, one is off. So we start with all the 7 circles on, and the question is, if by flipping 2 at a time, you must flip 2, and if you flip 1, you have to flip adjacents. By going around in that manner, is it possible to start with all off and then all on? It is that, and then we go further. How many tries will it take? And based on that, we get the students to think, and they can actually flip and know, okay, is this working? Which order? Which one do you flip?
You have me thinking. I'm picturing it in my mind.
Exactly. And then a modified question: would it work if it were an even number instead? So 7 is odd. So then we bring in even and odd numbers, and we go through with them, depending on the audience and the crowd and the level of the student, because the games as well are based. We have basic games, we have intermediate games, and we have more challenging games for the upper school. So we go through little things like that. It's not much, it's not a lecture. You come, you enjoy, and we just throw a few questions. Hey, well, would it work? And we get these students thinking. We get them, hey, I never thought about it like that. This could be fun. How can you apply this? And we go on like that. That's just one of the games. We have a bridge example. It's the Bridge of Königsberg, which is one of the main examples used in modern day graph theory. So you have 7 bridges, and the question is, are you able to visit each part in the map without crossing a bridge at least twice? So more than once. And again, you sit down and you think of it, and we actually have the games. So we have a little guy, and he tries once. Okay, do you go back or you go forward?
Well, I would admit that math was never really my favorite, but this morning you really have me thinking. My mind is really running.
I'm sure you succeeded.
Well, as best as I could. But Dr. Jogi, I want to bring you back in because you spoke about a lot about the psychology about this as well. Does this also help popularize math? Does it also make math more interesting, more fun?
Certainly. Well, math is the science of structure. It's necessary. The study of it, the understanding of math, creation. All right, so it's all around us. Even the base 10. How do we get the base 10? It's because, in nature it's natural to count in tens because we have 10 fingers and 10 toes. And then binary, for which informational technology is based. I base 2. Why? Because you have 2 hands and 2 feet. So it's just natural, right? And in terms of the psychology, we recognize, and sociologically as well, we recognize that there's a sociology of math phobia. Children tend to believe, well, I do maths because I have to do it. Mm-hmm. But it could actually be fun. We can engage them. There's certain things like, all right, when I'm teaching, I say we're having a math party, right? Math party? Yes. Whoever could do the question the fastest wins. And you see, you engage each other. It's a game now. You engage, and then, success breeds success. So when a child could do this level of questions, then they move up. And then eventually something overflows. They say, you know what, this is enjoyable. I can actually do this. And that's where we want to catch the children. All right, we're going to catch them from now. So by the time they reach Form 4 and they're doing CXE, you just get ones, 30 ones, normal. Go to CAPE, do maths applied IT, get skulls, move forward, and then build a society from there.
And then come back to you to study maths.
Of course, of course. Certainly.
So I just want to add to the question. Can you just repeat the question again?
Sure. I was speaking about generally if this is going to popularize math.
Yes. So the experience that we've had, first I want to say that registration has officially closed off. It's 1 week before the event and we are maxed out. We are full to capacity.
Crikey, and here I was getting a bit more excited for my part.
So there's good news. There's always good news. You can join online, and we engage in videos to join online. We are streaming on a live stream. It's uemathfair.com. All the information is there. You'll see from the live stream, then we go into the feud. We have real talks. And we have an interactive question and answer session online as well. So the audience, it's not just a view only. You can just literally type in the chat and questions will be asked depending on the question and the time constraints, of course. Also, there are games online you can play. So you won't be missing out. Obviously being there is totally different. And this allowed us also to expand not only in Trinidad, but we are regionally as well. So we've expanded all our competitions to different islands around the Caribbean, and we have had participation from them, and I find it's great. So definitely it has expanded math, and math is a fun thing, math is something to do. When individuals see me, who I taught before, or even just on my WhatsApp, they message, hey, when is this thing? I need some more information. Can we still register? I keep getting the question. So definitely, yes, 100%. It is, in my opinion, doing a lot for mathematics on a whole, not only in Trinidad, but in the Caribbean.
Certainly. And it's not just mathematics. I think you guys, with this math fair, the evolution of the math fair, are really doing a lot for students as well. Because socially as well, yes, it's everybody gets excited for a field trip.
Yes.
Everybody gets excited for a field trip, but that opportunity to also interact with other students, and even the competition is healthy competition. So you're doing a lot for the social skills as well. Dr. Jogi, expand on that for me, please.
Yes, certainly. So we have expanded the number of booths. So of course, you will be familiar in front of the Alma Jordan Library. There's the communal space called the Quadrangle.
Yes.
So we're occupying an entire space.
And that's a big space.
Booths upon booths with games. Children are going to socialize. Then, of course, we have the other theaters. We have the Engineering Lecture Theater, the JFK Lecture Theater, and the JFK Auditorium. So the children will be engaged. And, of course, more importantly for me, the network of teachers. You want teachers who could commute and congregate in one spot. And they will go, hey, you remember going to UE? You remember doing this and that? And that is where all the assistance occurs. So let me give you a context. There are SBAs for all subjects now. Math, English, and so forth. But there are maths SBAs. So sometimes we just have a general rubric, like, okay, well, will this SBA work? It would have been nice to communicate with another teacher.
Yes.
So all of this, on top of the children, they're also developing teachers.
Yeah.
Right, we're also developing teachers. Let me give you a next context, right? With WhatsApp. Things are so, you know, it's just at a flick of the phone. We have communicated with teachers from Guyana, from Barbados, from Jamaica, telling them about the math fair and networking. And these teachers from Jamaica are actually participating online, of course, with the pre-events. So you never know where this could reach. You never know where this could reach in a few years. You never know if face-to-face, you know, we could take it on to other countries. You never know, because UE is campus, you know, the
one
campus
of the best
is
in the
broad.
world.
Certainly.
Yes, one of the best in the world. The UE.
The
Pleased to
UE.
be teaching in the West Indies.
In the Caribbean.
Let me tell you something. All right, so I'll just use a metric, because everything has to be scientific. If you go on Google, all right, now, it could be because based on your IP address or whatever, right? If you type math fair, 9 out of the top 10 searches goes to UE math fair. So based on that, no, I'm not saying science fair. Based on the context of math fair, this is one of a kind. It's one of the biggest events on the campus. Obviously the biggest event in the region in terms of math, and it might be competitive on the global scale. The UE Trinidad Math Fair.
Well, it's definitely heading that way.
It's over 2,100 students.
Wow.
Plus you'll have persons on camp who will just congregate us to investigate what's going on. Obviously, we're not going to turn
I was just about to ask, could the public actually participate further than just online? Could they actually come and interact at the booths?
So we limit it to secondary school students from 1 to Form 6. That's our priority aim, and that has been filled out. So I would not open it out to the public. That's the main category that we're targeting.
But you've offered them to view it online?
Online, yes. Yeah. They can view online. And of course, it is on campus, so the natural campus population would have access to the items in the quadrangle and things like that.
Definitely.
And just one spin-off point that I want to mention that I think is very important. For me, when I finished Form 6, there was a decision. Do I go UE? Because I wasn't familiar. You would just hear people talk about UE. I've never actually visited the campus. But by coming to one of our math fairs on campus physically, naturally what happens, the student gets familiarized with the campus. So they started warm up to the idea of university as a natural stepping stone. We have campus tours going on. We have library tours going on. So they visited. So it's not only for FST. You see the library. You see different aspects. You're going to see where the food court is. Naturally. So that is one subtle aspect that happens by attending the UE Math Fair. And because the interaction, as Dr. Joey said, it's a field trip mentality. Oh yeah, this is nice. We do have classes. It's a nice little outing. So it's a positive environment. Plus it's a learning environment. Plus it desensitizes the student to the fears that they might have when it comes to university life. And they say, well, UE is not that bad. I've been there. I've seen students there just like me. And where they have nice food, the library is huge. So those things are subtle things that will naturally happen and people don't talk about. So I said, let me just bring it up as well.
No, that is absolutely important.
It's one of the nicest campuses in the world. Huh?
No, I was just supposed to say that I should be an honorary UE ambassador because
of course,
everywhere I go, I tell people one of the best experiences I've ever had, and if you never got this opportunity, was going to the UE.
Excellent lecturers as well.
Oh yeah, and the relationship that lecturers have with the students as well really is impeccable.
Certainly.
So gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. Just before we go, in case we missed anything, if the viewing public wants to get more information, where can they do so?
uwimatfair.com. So uwimatfair.com. That's the website. You're going to get everything there, all the information. We look forward to seeing you all on a live stream.
Well, Dr. Jogi, Mr. Lakan, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. And thank you, and to the entire team, for putting this together. I'm excited.
Of course.
I'm certainly excited, and I'm definitely going to check. As I said, one of the best in the world.
Yes. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much.
Well, looking forward to the next conversation, because I know that you guys do a lot. The UE does so many activities annually. So we're looking forward to the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. When we return, well, we'll welcome our final guest for this edition of the program.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Yo, it's Rome! And this year we want to have a safe carnival just like every other carnival. So this year we're talking a smart carnival. We're talking safety measures against real threats. We're going to vet smart, we're going to play smart, and move smart because it's all about rum, gal, and money. Not that no call way, no time for folly. We jamming all day. Jamming on the roadway. If you see me in a Benz or a Beamer, hustle hard for me. Don't stop, anchor down in the ocean. Watching you selling by.
This is EA Irfanals and I will be there live. QRC 2024. We're gonna give you more back by live band or the link up. Everybody and them will fight. We don't want no bad vibes in the mask. QRC, pick a side. Coronation, pick a side. Link up.
You make me feel.
My name is Carl Media. I'm the founder and the host
of ever-increasing voice ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. So we've had some really riveting discussions thus far, and I'm pleased to get into a discussion not only about community development, but how individuals can really help themselves. And one individual whose story is absolutely incredible, who's gone through a lot, who's literally lived in that phrase, poverty is hell, but has even created an acronym, a positive acronym for poverty. I'm joined this morning by co-founder and executive director of the Rudan Empowerment Foundation, Sensei Marva John Logan. She's with us virtually. Hello there, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Blessed morning to Trinidad and Tobago, and thank you so very much for having me this morning. Blessing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Let me engage you first because you're the last commentary was in regard to the $100 million anti-crime plan, where the Defence Force really comes into play and plays an active role within the communities. What are your thoughts on that, especially for somebody who has really advocated for community development and community empowerment?
First, let me say thank you for the Prime Minister acknowledging there's a great need in the communities, not such as Enterprise, but in most of the vulnerable communities. So I want to say thanks for that. The $100 million, I think, should not only go for soldiers to come into the community, but before they even dispatch that, they should come in the community and meet with the stakeholders, find out, do a SWOT analysis, find out what are the push and pull factors that actually cause any crime and violence in our community. What is causing the poverty? Why so many young men and women are on the streets? Why are crime are striving in communities such as this? Before you send in the soldiers, because some research will show that social intervention program is not just about the policing. It's about collaboration and networking. It's about social problems. It's about addressing social issues. It's about engaging the community and finding out exactly what the community needs. Many times you find persons coming outside the community to bring a solution, but most of the time the solution is within the community itself, because there are stakeholders that are already working in communities, and it is working there. Come and see what it is, strengthen what it has, add what we need, and then we could take it from there. But it should be a collaborative effort, and we should be around the table discussing how that $100 million is going to be utilized. Because we had programs such as the CSP, which is the Citizen Security Program, many years ago, and it was doing phenomenal, and that program came and shut down. Go back and see what was working then, see what's working now, and see what needs to be added, and then bridge that. And then we could talk about how we can spend that $100 million to improve lives in a community. And when you improve life in a community, you find crime will reduce.
Now, I realize that you're advocating for consultations before this plan is even activated. In your opinion, whom do you suppose are the relevant stakeholders with exactly who should be consulted?
Well, in every community, there's a community action council or community village council. There's NGOs, CSOs, faith-based organization, and even the business people and the residents themselves. You see, communities such as ours, you cannot just say you're sending in soldiers. That is one aspect, policing, and that is excellent because we need the visibility, we need the law to help still and stem the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago. But you also need the groups in your community because you can bring in all those things. And if the community is not involved in the solution, it's not going to work. And we see it many times with the Underconda and even the National Crime Prevention Program, a lot of cottage meeting, but what really came out of that? We want to know what came out of that. We want to know what works. And that's going to bring change. You've got to engage the community and let the community tell you what are some of the problems, what are the shortcomings, and let us come together and say, listen, this could work, this can work, this worked before, this is what needs to be done. But we applaud the Prime Minister for noting that the communities need help. But how that help is going to come? What is the structure? What is the format? What is going to look like? It's not just bringing in soldiers, because that is just going to spin top in mud. You have to bridge those gaps.
Certainly. And another point one could argue is that every community is different in its own right, so it can't be a one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely. Because I'll tell you something. You cannot let somebody walk in your house, tell your wife what to cook for you to eat. And that is exactly what every community is. Every community is like a home. So we need to have that collaborative effort. We need to have that discussion, right? Every community, some communities are agricultural-based communities. Some community poverty stems the crime. Some communities it's unemployment and lack of parenting. Now the parents in the home are because they are working and they're not there, so they don't have the parenting aspect of that. Some communities is just because they have no infrastructure. They have no social programs. They have no sporting programs. They have no parenting programs. They have no employment programs. And that's another thing I would like to mention. Our Ministry of Youth and National Services is doing phenomenal. However, we cannot keep on rolling out programs that just address a small bracket called youth between the age of 18 or 29 or 18 to 35. It has other persons on the outline, and we cannot just do the same programs over and over again. And I don't like projects. I want something that is sustainable, that you could see and measure the growth, and it could be impactful in our individual life. If you could help an individual move away from crime and violence or become empowered, see themselves as value, that individual who belongs to our family, change is going to happen to that family. That family that belongs to our community, change is going to happen to that community. And that community that belongs to our country, change is going to happen in the country.
You're an individual who has been involved in various community activities and interventions. You even worked with the U.S. Embassy and the police to bring about such interventions and empower youth. And given your experience and the knowledge that you've gathered, what has it taught you? What have you realized about the impact of crime within the community and crime within the family that by extension will affect the community?
Definitely. And I want to say salute to the U.S. Embassy Public Affairs Port of Spain. I happen to be a beneficiary of two-day international leadership program where we go different states in the America and see how things happen and work, and then come back and see what we could strengthen here. We didn't come and change anything. And one thing we learn is you must have engagement with people from within your community. Many times we bring people from outside and we leave the people from inside outside of the solution. They have to be part of the solution because they are part of what is happening in the community. They are being affected by the community. And the other thing I want to mention is this. We talk a lot about crime and violence. But what are the factors that are causing crime and violence? There are so many research done in Trinidad and Tobago, all are on some shelves. What are the push and pull factors? How are we going to stem crime? We look at crime as just as in a community level, but most of the time the crime reaches the community after it comes down. And we on the ground feel that pressure. But if you're dealing with crime on the whole and you really want to change communities, we have to deal with crime holistically. We have to take it at every step, from the top, the middle, and the ground, from the right and the left. We cannot deal with crime as just a community-based problem. Crime is more than that. And we have to look at it as a holistic. Crime is a business. And we have to see crime as a business and tackle it from that point. We have to plug every hole that bring in profit to those that involved in crime and violence so we could save lives in our community. It is important for we to understand that. And those strips and those capacity building training and those interventions that I have been involved with throughout Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean taught me that we cannot tackle it from one level. We have to tackle crime from all states.
Well, given that, do you think that rather than starting a new program from scratch, that there should be some sort of beefing up of our existing programs or existing plans of interventions?
One program, and I want to say yes, because I don't believe we should spend money to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of things that happen in our country that works. Right now, Hearts and Minds, a phenomenal collaboration is happening, and that involves the police in different areas working with stakeholders in the East Port of Spain area. But I'm saying the Citizen Security Program was an excellent, excellent, excellent crime prevention empowerment program. And I want to say that because I want to put in the empowerment, because what it did, it empowered the communities to help themselves. And by doing that, crime was reduced. And the history showed that. So I'm saying to my beloved Prime Minister and the government at B, please see what works before, see what is working now, and see what we need and bridge all three and let us do something. Do not go and reinvent the wheel. It will cost too much. And putting money in the hands of the NGOs, the CSOs, the stakeholders in the community that is already doing the work and help strengthen what we have because it is working. And we could do it at a bigger scale, but we need that intervention from the government. Not only the financial intervention, we need the human resource intervention as well, but we also need all persons to be involved in this solution.
I want to speak about your personal journey for a moment and bring that into play here because the story is rather incredible. You grew up in poverty. You were determined to really escape the shackles of poverty, as they say. And you didn't use poverty as an excuse. You used poverty as a tool of empowerment. How did you do that? That is something that people find incredibly difficult to do.
First and foremost, you have to always look at your negative as a stepping stone. Many times we wallow in our ills, or our shortcomings, or in our situation. For me, personally, my parents play a crucial role, although my father was a perpetrator of domestic violence, and he was also an alcoholic. But in that being said, he also instilled values in us still. And my mother was a prayer warrior. She was an awesome individual, and she taught us never look at what you do not have. Always look at what you have and make the best of that and push forward. So our poverty, that P is for persistency and prayer. The O is for overcoming, So we take the whole word and make things out of it, each letter, in order for us to propel. And I stayed focused together with my siblings, and we get into a profession because of my brother ended up in a life of crime. And we vowed to God and our family, long as we could help, we are not going to stay in that situation, and we're going to help as many young people as possible to know that they have value, and every situation is an opportunity for positive change.
Now, in that sense, growing up in a community that is perhaps plagued by violence or really falling to the struggles associated with crime and criminal activity, how do you even carve a pathway for yourself? How do you even find that opportunity that people say is not there, and yet somehow it can happen for you?
I believe it could happen for all of us. Your vision is important. You have to look for it, and you have to stay focused, and you got to believe in yourself. Enterprise community is beautiful. It have a lot of businesses. It's a buzzing hub of opportunities, but you got to look for it. You got to circle yourself with the right friends, the right people. You got to circle yourself with God and prayer, and you got to know what you as an individual want and what is your purpose. If you do not know that you are here for a purpose and God give us a purpose, every one of us are born with a talent. If you do not tap into that talent and you do not find yourself, you will be lost. I was fortunate enough to have a social network, which is my siblings and my parents. And then I went into schools and stuff. So very tender age, yes, at 14, I started to do community work. But it was really out of a need of necessity. But I take that opportunity to build me as an individual, educate myself, and then take that and bridge it with my sports and my education to make change happen. There are the opportunities there. Talking to everybody who's listening, look for them, look for the help. If you need help, find them. Be ashamed. Shame is sit there. That speaks. Get up and move. No situation is impossible for you to come out of. None whatsoever.
And that sort of ties into your mantra, where you've encouraged people to more or less embrace challenges, stating that there are no failures, they're just challenges.
Absolutely no failure. Failure for me is fate. The A is for you to assess that failure, what you call there, but more importantly, to assess yourself. That I is the individual person. What is your interest? What is this individual doing? The L is for the lessons learned of what happened. How would you take that lesson and impact it in your life? That U is for you to understand who you are, the lesson that you just learned. That R is for you to rest and become more resilient. And that E is for your education and your excitement to move. So failure should never be taken. Failure does only groom you to know how sweet success is.
I really like that. I think we're going to have to trademark that quote, by the way. But anyway, moving forward with the conversation, I'm curious to know, though. I mean, we've started the conversation by speaking about this investment within community development, the utilization of the Defence Force. You've expanded on that. And I'm rather pleased that you've also willingly shared your personal story and all that you went through for people to have an understanding. And given the fact that you've overcome those challenges, that you've really embraced those challenges and made a difference for yourself, when you look at yourself now, whom do you consider yourself to be? What do you see within yourself?
I consider myself a child of God and a change agent on the whole, because that is what I tell people. I will call to make a positive impact in the lives that I touch. So I say I'm just standing tall, but humbling God, and I'm a social change agent, because there are so many things happening here. And people call me a diplomatic ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago. I say I'm a diplomatic ambassador for God Almighty. So every life we touch is impactful, every single life. And that's why I see myself as a change agent. And I pray God that the government, the opposition could find a neutral ground so they can have a positive conversation and embrace people like myself around the table. There are so many persons, just as she and Marva, out there doing so many wonderful things. And I just want to make a plug here for two fantastic organizations. One is the Root Foundation with Mr. Mtima Suwazi, and it have another fantastic organization that is doing so much work in the communities. We have the Disastress Empowerment Community Right Enterprise. It might be small, but it's phenomenal, touching lives. And I want the government that be in every community you go into, source out the gatekeepers, source out the NGOs and the faith-based organizations, the CSOs that are already doing the work, and bridge that gap. Call us, talk to us, see how we can work together and invest part of that $100 million in our organization, in our work, because we have the evidence to show that what we are doing, we're doing something right.
When all is said and done, what do you see for Trinidad and Tobago? I mean, you've really taken a different approach. Your vision is a lot more positive than most, even mine, I will admit. I'm often pessimistic, but you've taken a lot more of a positive approach. When all is said and done, what do you actually see happening for Trinidad and Tobago? The road that we're currently going down, is it something that we can easily overcome?
I won't say we can easily overcome it, but we can overcome it if we work together. Trinidad and Tobago is no different from plenty of other countries. What happened to Trinidad and Tobago, it's in our face on a daily basis. And that's where the media play a role. There are crime all over the world, but we are not patriotic enough to highlight the positive human interest stories or highlight the positive things. We know crime sells because it's on the front page and people will buy that. But if you go to right in our Caribbean countries, even in Jamaica and Barbados and Grenada, you watch the data. But you don't see it on the front page. You don't see it on the news. You hear about it, but in that front line. We in Trinidad and Tobago got to be a little more patriotic. We got to push the narrative. We need to stop advertise crime for the criminals. Don't use our front page and our news to advertise for the criminals, because they gravitate towards that. When they see the story on the front page on the headline, they get an instant gratification for that. We need to stem that. Cut it out. Push the positive. I'm not saying not to report what is happening. I am saying report more positive things, what happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is a phenomenal, fantastic, beautiful twin island. There's so much potential, and I see that we can overcome, but we got to work together. Get the young people involved from the very tender age. Build the national pride in them from preschool, primary school, secondary school coming up. So that way they have pride for the community, they have pride for themselves, the country, the family. And if they do that, you'll find that they will do things to lift the country, not pull it down. And they will move away from crime and violence, long as you put the necessary tools and skills in their hands.
Well, I'll tell you what you just hit the nail on the head there when you said that there's a lack of patriotism. It's a conversation I've had before. It seems as though we're only patriotic when it's time to represent the red, white, and black on a sporting field. That's the most of the times that when you see a level of patriotism taking place. But certainly, there is a lack of patriotism. But, you know, Sensei, thanks so much for joining me on the program this morning. I don't even know what is the most appropriate way to conclude, because you've covered it all. It's not even to say that I can come in now with a positive message to end it. So I'll leave that up to you, your closing thoughts and final words.
I want to say, Trinidad and Tobago, your country is yours. If your country is yours, we got to take care of our country. We got to take care of our community. We got to take care of our family, and we got to take care of ourselves. And always remember, each one help one team, one country, one God. I said, be good, do good, feel good, and help somebody. Always look for the shining light and move away from the darkness. I leave you with peace.
Certainly. Well, thank you so very much for joining me on the program this morning, and for really a conversation which I don't often have. It took such a positive swing, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and be blessed.
It's been a pleasure. All the very best to you, and continue the great work and community service that you are doing.
Thank you.
And that was Sensei Marva John Logan, co-founder and executive director of the Rudan Empowerment Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, I think hit the nail on the head right there when Sensei basically expressed the lack of patriotism here in Trinidad and Tobago is a contributing factor, a huge factor in how we go about our daily lives. And community empowerment is absolutely, I suppose it's crucial, is the best way to describe it, if we are to raise that level of patriotism, where people are proud of whom they are, people are proud of where they come from, people are proud of their community, and proud of Trinidad and Tobago on a whole. All of that is part of a solution if we are to deal with this situation. And as Sensei mentioned, she's glad that there's recognition that there's a need for further inroads, for in-depth conversations and interventions within the communities. Finally, there's some sort of recognition in regard to that, but there are a lot of people who are working on the ground, a lot of people who are putting in the time and efforts, and really we hope that they are consulted, that their voices are heard as well, because they know what's taking place, their experiences, they're actually there, already aware of the situation, and that alone could only help expedite this process and expedite solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me on AM Prime this morning, and I want to thank all my guests for their time. Really appreciate it, and for their commentary and for their efforts. And really, we've had such good conversations this morning that there's always that sparkle of hope, that bit of hope, and let's utilize it to our benefit. Not selfishly, but for the greater good of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. It's always a bit of a tongue twister in there for me, somehow or the other. But stay tuned for more Caribbean content throughout the day. And we just wish you a safe, productive day ahead. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. Keep well. Bye-bye.